too. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so happy to be with you today. So today is the Equinox program, even though the Equinox is not actually until Wednesday, but I usually do my programs on Sunday and it's easier for a lot of people to join on the weekend. So I'm doing it today. And we can see it as like preparation for the actual equinox, but we're all within the window of it happening. So I love to offer these programs on the equinox and the solstice. Maybe many of you have joined this program before. I used to do it as a new moon ritual, and then I started doing my equinox and solstice programs on here because I used to do them live before the pandemic, but that's not possible now. And it makes me so happy to be able to do the programs from all around the world, that we can be together to honor these portals that happen 4 times a year. We have 2 equinoxes and 2 solstices. And for many thousands of years, people all around the world have acknowledged these times as very important moments on Earth, like a cosmic alignment. And so it's really, I think, beautiful and important to connect to that energy and to remember that we are part of nature, we are nature, and we are connected to the Earth, even if our lifestyle makes us not be aware of that. It's good to remember more than ever now. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about this equinox and what it symbolizes, and then do a practice. So I think I said in the description, if you could bring some water. So wherever you are, if you could just get a little bit of water. If you don't have any, it can be in any vessel, just don't drink it yet. This will be the water for a ritual. So you can have other water to just drink, but don't drink this one yet. And just set it aside. You can cover it or just put it next to you. And, oh, my voice? Let's see. Better? Sometimes? Oh, yes? Okay. Oh, thank you. It depends where the mic is placed, and sometimes I put it down because otherwise you can't see my face, but I'll put it up because it's easier to sing that way. So I'm just going to begin. I'm just going to begin singing with an invocation, which I always do to begin my programs. And an invocation is just a way of acknowledging that we're entering this time together, and it's maybe not ordinary time, because we're going to be, immersing ourselves in the energy of the sacred, which is always there. It's just that we don't pay attention to it necessarily. So an invocation is a way of stepping across a threshold to acknowledge that we're entering this time together. And it really is special to be able to join together and do these practices in this format. I never, thought that it would be so effective and that we would be able to feel each other's hearts and feel the presence of a community doing it online like this. When it first started, and when I first started doing these programs, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to drop into it, but now it really feel it. There's no time or space, and we're here from all over the world, and it's palpable. So it's beautiful. I'm so grateful to Insight Timer and to technology. So I'm going to begin the invocation. I'm going to sing in Sanskrit, and you don't need to understand. It's a vibrational language, and you can use the music as a way to just come back to yourself, connect to yourself, anchor yourself into the present moment. Imagine if you have an anchor, you just drop it into the depths of yourself, because usually we're way out there. You got to come back home. So that's what we'll do to begin. So you can close your eyes if you want, or just be in a relaxed space. Oh. Snigdhaupangamidokinim bhagavati Nandasmida Srimaki Vatsayamatavarshinim Sumaturam Sankirtanalapini Shyamangim Madhusita Suti Amritanandatmika Ishwari Om Amriteshwari Om Amriteshwari Om Amriteshwari Samsara Samudvatradana Lokaitana Guru Bhakti Davyam Naidam Agisamnahan Jata Pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Namo 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 Breathe in, just hold for a moment, and then exhale, release your whole body. Thank you. So nice to be with you. I've been kind of in a little bit of a creative underworld. It's a whole other conversation really about just the creative process. But it's a really interesting subject that I would love to talk about sometime. Just, everyone is creative. We're all artists, even if we don't do what is considered to be art. It doesn't matter. The way you sew a button on could be artistic, the way that you drink your water, whatever it may be. We're all artists and we're all on a creative journey here on earth. And at least for me, in my experience of so-called creating music or creating a course or creating whatever, it's just a very interesting process and journey of letting go and becoming open to however life wants to move through. And sometimes that flow happens really effortlessly and the river is just clear. And sometimes there's a lot of debris and obstacles and rocks that need to be moved through. And recently I'm going through a little bit of that, um, some resistance to the flow. And so it's just interesting to observe that. So that's why I haven't been doing as many live sessions, because I'm just trying to be with whatever this process is. And sometimes I think it's important to just step away, to be with whatever is happening. And we're always getting so much input from outside, but to really listen inside is, I think, really beneficial. So but I'm really happy to be here with you now, and I have so much missed being together and doing these sessions, because it's just, it just brings me so much peace and hope in a time in the world that is really difficult. um, it's just so fascinating. This pandemic has had these many different phases to it. And of course, in the beginning, it was like a shock. We're all like, no one had any idea what was going on. We've never experienced anything like that before. Now, these terms that we use, like, putting on a mask or social distancing, and these are like everyday terms. But if someone had suggested that, 2 years ago, we might have thought it was out of like a sci-fi, book or something. But this particular phase in the pandemic, it's difficult. I know many people who are really having a hard time, and maybe you are. But part of it is because we're in this liminal state, and it's just so hard to know what's going to happen. Is this the new normal, or is it going to shift? Is it going to change? Are the peaks going to wane, or the surge is going to calm down? Like, how are, there's so many questions. And the forces are like a pressure, that's kind of collectively and personally, that's affecting all of us in different ways. And so the reason I'm saying that is just because to gather together for a purpose that is deeper than, the stuff that we're always immersing our minds in, to go deeper is so important and so healing. Just to have that spiritual community, and to remember that there's more to life than the things that our mind is often occupied with. We are much more than we realize. We're not just like a flesh and bone. We have a soul. We have energy. We are spiritual beings in human bodies. So to take the time to just to look at that and to feel that and to connect around that, I think is essential, especially in these days and times. So this program is in honor of the autumn equinox for those of us who are in the northern hemisphere. And I don't know if anybody is here from the southern hemisphere. If you are, please forgive me, because I'm focusing this program on the energies of the northern hemisphere. Because what happens on the equinox, some of you may or may not know, is that the sun is directly above the equator. So day and night are, equally balanced. And on the opposite kind of side of that, we have the solstice, the winter solstice and the summer solstice. So the equinox marks a kind of like a tipping point. So for those of us who are in the northern hemisphere, from the equinox, then we are moving towards the darkest day of the year, the winter solstice. Whereas those who are in the southern hemisphere are moving towards the summer solstice, the most light day of the year. So it's really interesting how these things are all happening on Earth simultaneously, different energies happening in different hemispheres. But regardless of that, the equinox is a kind of portal. And as I've shared before, for those of you who've done these programs with me, people all around the world have honored the equinox as well as the solstices for such a long time as being like a really sacred time, because the light is very unique, because the sun is not usually directly over the equator. It only happens twice a year. So many different structures have been built around the world to honor this cosmic event. Whether it be the pyramids or Stonehenge or Chichen Itza, or there's just so many places that acknowledge these times. And it's absolutely incredible to think about how ancient people constructed these sacred sites so that they aligned perfectly, with the sun on the solstice, or with the energy of the equinox, that the light could filter through a crack in a temple wall at exactly the moment of the equinox. It's mind-blowing, really. And I'm endlessly fascinated by it. And There's no reason to think that we're not still affected by that energy today. Of course we are. It's just that we become much more divorced from nature, which I think we're all suffering from. I remember many years ago, I was in India at my spiritual teacher Amma's ashram, and somebody had asked her a question about depression. And her answer was just really interesting to this person. Of course, when a realized master is giving an answer to someone's question, it's for that person. But I was very touched by what she said. And she was talking about basically our disconnection from the earth, and how what's happening on the earth is actually affecting us. It's affecting our mental state. It's affecting our being. And we don't necessarily think about that on a day-to-day basis. But if we just look at the weather events that are happening on earth, there's no denying that something is going on the planet. We have completely destroyed and abused our Mother Earth. And we've gone wrong by thinking that we're separate from her. And so we see her, or the earth, as like an object that's out there, that's away from us, instead of recognizing that it's actually one being of which we are a part. You know, in the Hindu tradition, the Mother Earth is Bhu Devi. She's a goddess, actually. She's like a version of the Divine Mother, the Earth. So we have all of these weather events happening that, you know, there was a new UN report recently, just this past week, that was talking about how the earth is heating up, you know, so much faster. I can't remember. I think it was like 2.7%, 2.7 degrees Celsius hotter. And that we really need to slash the emissions significantly in the next like 20 years, but we're moving on the opposite path away from that. And so it's a pretty dire situation that we find ourselves in. And anywhere on earth, whether it be wildfires or hurricanes or floods, we can see this like kind of tumultuousness. And my teacher Amma, she often says nature and the human mind are very agitated. And there's a connection between them. You know, our minds are on fire. Our minds are like, we're flooded, you know, with overwhelmed with thoughts, and we're all like burning up, you know, in our minds. If you just think about it, from just too many thoughts, too much busyness, too much, on and on and on it goes. We're constantly just being inundated with stuff. And it, you know, going on social media, or, you know, reading the news, sometimes it's like just an assault, like, oh, it's too much. I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's a amazing thing that we have access to these technologies, but it's also overwhelming, like for our nervous system, to be constantly taking in this information. And it's strange to be online when you're kind of scrolling and you're just looking at like one disaster after another, and you're just swiping on by, because what can you do? And that then there brings up these feelings of helplessness and overwhelm, and, you know, all of the stuff that we're all dealing with in the world right now. So to reconnect to the sacredness of the earth and to our place on the earth, I think is really, really, really important. And we owe a huge debt to the indigenous people from all over the world who have, it just makes me emotional to talk about it, but who have preserved this wisdom, you know, and we've just desecrated so many indigenous people, and they have wisdom about how to care for the earth and how to live in harmony. And so we're so fortunate to be able to have access to learn from indigenous people of color. And I think it's really important that we listen and that we learn, because we need to, because the ways that we're living are not working, you know. And so there's a necessity to revive, you know, ancestral wisdom from different traditions. And I personally feel very blessed that I've been able to study with many different masters and medicine men and women from different traditions around the world, and have learned so much. And one of the most important things that I've learned over the years, particularly from the Mamos, who I've mentioned before, who are shamans from the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in Colombia, is just that the root of the environmental problems we're facing, which is what they say, the root is a spiritual issue. It's a spiritual problem, because we don't understand that we're connected to nature. We don't feel that. And so when you don't feel that you're connected to something, or you don't feel that don't have a sense of reverence, then it's hard to care for something. When you really feel a sense of reverence towards something, a sense of deep respect, you treat it with care. You just do. If you have like a holy book or something like an object that's really precious to you, you probably don't just throw it around. That's so disrespectful. You treat it with love, and you kind of enshrine it in your heart, and you care for it. And so if we were to have that kind of reverence for the earth, that kind of deep respect, that would probably make a big difference in terms of how we live. And I actually think that part of that means having that deep respect and reverence towards ourselves. We really need to start here by having respect for our own body and having reverence for this being, because the earth is also this. So spiritual practices, whatever they may be, whatever you may be drawn to, there's so many different things out there. Everybody's drawn to different things based on your samskaras, your inherited tendencies, what your constitution is. But spiritual practices that can help us to connect to the sacredness of our own being, I think are vital to helping us recognize the sacredness of the planet, because they're interconnected. I'm sorry I'm so emotional about this subject today. I don't know why, sometimes I'm able to be, not emotional, and sometimes it just happens because when you really touch into it, it's pretty intense. And I think a lot of the times our busyness keeps us from feeling whatever we may feel about the state of the world and the state of our own minds. And I think there's benefit to just dropping below that and feeling our feelings around it, because that grief and all of the emotions around that, those are actually really important to feel so that we move towards making change. So anyway, the equinox is about balance, equal day and equal night. And balance is a fascinating thing. If you actually think about it, the balance of day and night in the equinox, it lasts like 1 second. And no sooner is it balanced that it's tipped to the other side. So that's kind of to me, that's a really interesting metaphor, a really interesting teaching, that we're often striving for this perfection. I want this balance in my life, but it's like this, even nature is that way. It might be aligned for 1 second, but no sooner than it's balanced does it, like the present moment. You can't capture the present moment. As soon as I say the present moment, it's gone. It's already gone. We have to recognize that there's like a part of the power and sacredness of it is just in the fleeting moment of it, like a streak of light in the sky or something. It comes, that moment of balance, and then it goes. And so we're constantly moving between these poles. And I think we are in our lives, learning how to balance different things. And I would say balance is something that is not happening too much in the world right now. There's a lot of imbalance. And that's why, we're in this situation with the planet, because there's a lot of imbalance, and there's imbalance, within ourselves. So the equinox offers us an opportunity to return to that theme of balance and to reconnect to that, almost like just recalibrating ourselves in alignment with nature. Because as nature, has that cosmic alignment of day and night and equal balance, we can attune ourselves to that and kind of reorient ourselves. And I think that's really what it's all about. Like meditation, it's not like it's a constant returning. Our mind wanders and we return. We just keep returning. It's not about achieving some like solid state of perfection where you always get it right and you're always in the present moment. It's just understanding the nature of the mind is to go and bring it back to the anchor of what's real, what's always here, what's present. And that's the path, the balance of flying out with thoughts and then returning to the present. And hopefully, as we do it more and more, we come more and more into the present moment and connect it to ourselves. So the fall equinox is really a time of shedding, of letting go, as we prepare to enter this kind of dark season of moving towards the darkest day of the year. And there can be, I don't know, I've been talking to some people. Fall is, at least where I live, it's such a beautiful time. And sometimes it's like a melancholy time because that brightness of summer is waning and the leaves are turning and they're going to fall. And then, the darkness is coming, the colder weather is coming. And so that can bring up a lot of emotions. But I actually think this time of entering this kind of darker time is really important. The moon is not always full. Sometimes the moon goes dark. In fact, every month the moon goes dark, and there's a value in that. And so these periods of turning inwards, of reflection, of letting go, of looking at our life and seeing like what is no longer serving me. What do I no longer wish to carry forward? What do I, want to let go of? To ask these questions really and deeply inquire into our lives to see. Those themes are coming up for me personally so much right now, especially with this project that I've been working on. I really feel like in order to complete it, some things need to be let go of, and that there's been a holding on, and I'm aware of that. And sometimes we can be aware, the timing isn't right to make the shifts we need to make. So that's why compassion always has to be the foundation. You can't force yourself to be somewhere you're not. We don't have to force ourselves to do anything, but just to shine the light of awareness. Awareness heals everything. So to have that awareness and to look at inside yourself, to look at your life and ask how those themes are showing up for you. Themes of balance or imbalance, of letting go, of moving into this kind of darker time. I did a session on the holy darkness once, and I would love to talk about that more, but I would rather go into the practice with you. But darkness itself is such a sacred thing. Our culture is so much about like being in the light, being out, being seen. But if you look at nature, that's just not how everything rolls. It's like every tree, every flower, every fruit, everything started as a seed that was underground, that was hidden. Nobody knew it was there. I planted my garden and I put the seeds in, and if I looked at it, it looks like there's nothing happening there, but there's a lot happening there under the surface. And at the right time, it comes up. So how can we apply that wisdom to ourselves and know that as we move towards these darker periods, that it's an opportunity to let ourselves be more reflective, to be more inward, and to cultivate and germinate something within ourselves and trust that it will emerge, when needed, just like the cycles of nature. There's so much value in being a seed, so to speak. And there's so much value in being able to embrace our own so-called darkness and to not run from it, but to look into it. Many years ago, I had a mentor teacher who was a Lakota Shoshone Sundance leader and medicine man, and he passed away about 10 years ago, but I was connected to him from the time that I was 16 when I met him. And it's a long story really to share about that. But one time I went up to visit him on the Wind River Reservation where he lived in Wyoming, and he did a sweat lodge. And I remember I was in my 20s and my grandmother had died, and he did this sweat and he kind of dedicated it to her, which was so kind. And I remember if you don't know what a sweat lodge is, it's like entering the womb of the earth. It's like a little, almost like an earth church, you could say, made out of willow branches, and it's covered with tarps and blankets. And you enter and you sit around a fire pit that has a pit that has burning rocks in it that pour water on them, and you sweat. This is a form of spiritual practice and prayer in many Native American traditions. And So he did the sweat lodge, and I remember being in there, and I had done many of them before, but for some reason I was really scared and I felt very claustrophobic. And I remember I was like having anxiety, and I was like closing my eyes really tightly because I didn't want to like see anything, and I just wanted it to all go away. I was frightened. And when I would open my eyes, it was just pitch black in there. So I just kept closing them. And he obviously could sense that. And he was sitting next to me, and he took like a rattle or something, and he like poked me with it. And he said, "Open your eyes. You know, you have to look into the darkness. Open your eyes." And I remember just sitting there feeling like, I know, I don't want to open my eyes. I don't want to look in the darkness. And then in that moment, I just thought, wow, that's a really interesting metaphor for my life. Do I not want to look into the darkness? Okay, I'm going to open my eyes, you know. And I opened my eyes and I just tried to relax into being in the darkness. And it became this like comforting presence. Felt almost like a feminine presence of this darkness. And that was a really powerful moment for me. It made me realize that it's not necessary to be afraid of the darkness, what we might call the darkness within, or even of these dark, so-called dark periods of our life where we feel like we don't know where we're going or what's happening or how things are going to unfold or how they're going to resolve, that we could just try to relax into it and just look and just pay attention and listen, that there might be a lot there to learn, you know, to learn how to love ourselves. That's a really fertile place to learn how to love ourselves. You know, we don't love ourselves just when everything is going right the way we think it should. We have to learn how to love ourselves when things look unlovable so we can love the unlovable. So anyway, I'm going off on a major tangent here. Sorry. I want us to do this practice, and it's going to be take a bit of time because there's different parts to it. So the reason that I like to do a water ritual on the equinox and the solstice is just because water is something that we experience, use, are blessed to have every day. You know, there are over 2 billion people in the world who don't have safe water, access to safe water or sanitation. And so for those of us who do, and those of us who can just open up a tap and have water right there, that in itself is a huge blessing. And to take time to see the sacredness of something so called simple that we experience in our life every day, I think is really valuable. And especially to do it at a time when there are these alignments happening in nature, you know, like the equinox, and we can really use the element to connect to nature, to connect to Mother Earth, and connect to ourselves. So to connect to the waters within our own body, which is something that I talk about when I do the meditation, that, you know, we have to love and bless the waters of our own body. That is so important. So as we love ourselves, we love the earth. As we love the earth, we love ourselves. I truly believe that. And that's what I've learned from many teachers that I've studied with. You know, how can we see this with reverence? You know, how do we see things sacredly? And it's really in the eye of the beholder. It's not that this is sacred or that is sacred, but it's how we see it. You can see sacredness in anything, because really the truth is we're living in a unified field of consciousness. And so everything is actually alive with that consciousness. It just, we don't normally see it. But like, you know, if I were to look deeply into this pencil, my mind would be blown if I really look deeply, because there's so many, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, if you look into a piece of paper, like you see the clouds and you see the rain in there and you see the tree and you see all of this. Same with this, like how mysterious it is, everything that goes into anything. So I think that's part of what it's all about. This practice is letting our minds be blown again, because we've stopped letting our minds be blown by life. Because when everything is served up to us on a digital saucer, on a digital platter, and we just have to ask Siri or some other person like Alexa or whomever, for an answer. We don't, there's nothing to be amazed by, ask them anything, they'll have some answer for us. So I think it's really important to have our minds blown again and to realize that we're living in a complete mystery and that we don't even know what we are. We are mysteries to ourselves. We don't know how our own body works. We don't know a lot of things. So that's what this practice is about. So this is in honor of the equinox, of this very special time when we're moving towards a period of reflection and letting go and learning how to love and be with the darkness within, which I think is just so important. So to do this practice, if you don't have any water, if you came in a little later, if you could just get a little bit of water and in any vessel is fine, and just put it aside for now. We're going to just start with a short meditation to ground and to just let go of everything I've said, because I've just been talking a lot, and let us become embodied. And then we will sing to our water. The mantra that I like to sing whenever I do this practice is Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva, there's many different ways to talk about Shiva, but in this context, Shiva is really pure consciousness. Whatever that even means to our own mind. We all have conceptions and we overlay them onto so-called reality. But if we think about the backdrop of everything, pure awareness, we would call that Shiva. And so as we sing to the water, we essentially are purifying the water from any imprints that may be in it, like making that water almost like a blank sheet of paper, infusing it with the vibration of the mantra. A mantra is a sacred word or phrase. It means mantra. Many, many, many different ways to interpret it. Man is manas, like the mind. Tra could be to cross over or to protect. So a mantra might be something that protects our mind from itself. A mantra might be something that helps us cross over beyond our mind. But whatever way you want to think about it, a mantra is like an anchor that can connect us to ourselves. And mantras are really a gift that was given to humanity by the rishis, the great sages of India who heard the sounds when they were in meditation. They exist in nature and they were revealed, shruti, they were revealed to them. And so in an oral tradition for thousands of years, these sounds have been passed down. And it's absolutely amazing to think that we can hear them, chant them, practice them today, and that they're preserved in the same form that they were thousands of years ago. So they go beyond our cognitive mind and they work on a vibrational level. And so when we sing the mantra, we purify ourselves, our body, the waters in our body, and then the water. And then once we purify the water, then we will go into our own hearts and feel what you are needing, what we are all needing in this time, and to bless our water and to imprint that into the water and then imbibe that. So that's essentially what we'll be doing. So, oh, the sound is too low. I'm not sure if that's going to help at all, but I'll try. Natasha. So thank you all so much for your attention while I'm just talking so much. So let's forget everything I just said. If there's anything valuable for you, you'll pick it up after the practice. So now just allow yourself to be here and we're going to begin. Pixie. Oh my goodness. It's so late for you. I'm sending love to your back. Thank you. Okay. Let everything go. All right. So if you're not already in a place where you can just be at ease, where you won't be disturbed, just find a place where you can be, where you can listen and do this practice together. Begin to imagine, wherever you may be, sitting down, lying down, that all of your energies, all the parts of yourself are coming back right here. The mamos, who are my teachers from Colombia that I mentioned, they say that when we think of something, a part of us goes there. So imagine we're thinking about things all day and parts of ourselves are scattered all over the place. So we need to call them back. So call back all the parts of yourself so that you can become whole, complete in yourself right here. You can just become aware of your breathing. You don't need to change anything, but if you want to, you can lengthen your exhalation, which really helps with relaxing the parasympathetic nervous system. I mean, it awakens the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps your body to relax. And as you exhale, just let go. Just for this time, for this moment, whatever may be weighing on your mind or heart, just let that go. And feel the hearts and presence of all of the people who are here together doing this practice in honor of the equinox, in honor of Mother Earth. It's amazing that we've all chosen to be here right now for this. And if you like, you can imagine that you're connected to Mother Earth, so you can feel your body just sitting on the earth, or even imagine almost like an umbilical cord, like a grounding cord going down through your body into the earth. Feel connected. And to honor that connection, you may like to visualize that as you breathe in, your belly expands and the earth expands. And as you breathe out, your belly retracts and the earth retracts together. So you're breathing with the earth. So this time, this is for you. Whatever you need, may you receive it. May you receive your own permission to receive whatever you need. So we're just going to begin almost as a way of like doing a little purification to let go of anything that may be clouding our mind or our heart. We all pick up so much throughout our days. We don't always take time to let that go. So we're going to just actually focus on chanting the sound of Om, chanting the mantra Om together for a little while. Om is the pranava mantra, primordial sound. And in fact, Om is always happening. We just don't always attune our mind to it. So when you chant the sound of Om, feel it in every cell of your body And imagine that that sound is purifying you, bringing healing and uplifting your vibration, uplifting your consciousness. Really, really focus. Let that Om be a point of concentration that takes you deeper into yourself. Om. Feel the sound in every cell. Imagine that your whole body is receiving the vibration of the sound from listening and from your own voice. Just feel that sound of Om. So feel that you're returning to yourself. You're just going deeper into yourself like a turtle goes into its shell. So you can feel your heart, hear your voice. And I'm just going to chant a few times the Bija mantras. The Bija is a seed. The Bija mantra for the chakras is a purification. So if you want, you can imagine just the clearing and purifying of all of your energy centers. If you want to, you can just listen to the sounds. Imagine that you're almost standing under a waterfall of light and sound. It's just washing away anything that doesn't need to be here anymore. Nam Vam Ram Yam Ham Om Lam Vam Lam Lam Ram Yam Ham Breathe in, just hold for a moment, and then exhale, release through your whole body. And just let yourself be here in the present moment. Now we're going to move on to the next step of the ritual. And we're going to sing Om Namah Shivaya to our water and to ourselves. So you can have your water there. And when I tell you, I'll direct you what to do. But really, you can also make this practice your own. And that's the most important thing, is that I'm offering the guidance, but what matters is that you do what's true for you always. So make that practice your own. So I'm just creating the framework for it. So stay connected inside, and we're going to sing Om Namah Shivaya, and you can sing with me, you can listen, and the words are Om Namah Shivaya, Om, Om. And sometimes I add the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, which is a very ancient sacred mantra for healing. It also removes our fear of death. It's a very powerful mantra, so sometimes I'll sing that too. So Shiva is that pure awareness that lives within all of us. We may talk about different deities and different emanations of spirit or the divine, but all of these are just emanations of one consciousness, one light, different forms of that. Just like you can have gold in different forms, like a watch, a ring, a necklace, earrings, it's all made out of gold. In the same way, there's different names and forms for consciousness, for the divine, whatever word resonates with you. And today we are singing to Shiva, which is that light of awareness, that pure consciousness within all of us and all things. So I want to just offer a prayer before we sing this mantra, that you may receive whatever you need right now. That we may all be open to the gifts of practicing together as a community. The more of us that join together and join our voices and our intention, the stronger, the more amazing that is. So I'm just sending my gratitude and love to all of you. Thank you for being here today with me. It means so much to me. So Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya. Oh, 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 Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 So let's bring to mind water, this incredible element that blesses our life in so many ways. And think of all the manifestations of water on this earth, all the oceans and the rivers and the streams and the marshes and the rain. So many different forms of water. And this water we have not treated very well. So with all the love in our heart, let us offer this song and this mantra to all the waters of the earth, including the water in our own glass. However, this water mysteriously arrived here in our glass. Let's feel grateful for that. And if you want to pick up your water and hold it in your hands, you can do that now. And we're just going to sing Om Namah Shivaya into our glass of water. And we're going to imagine that the mantra is spilling beyond just our own glass and purifying all the waters of the earth from our hearts. We just send this mantra to water. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Imagine that this glass of water is filling with light and being purified, so that this glass of water is becoming a glass of pure consciousness. Trayambakam yajamahe Gandhim pushtivardhana Urvarkum iva vandana Mrityunakshiyam amrata Om Trayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivardhana Urvarkum iva vandana Mrityunakshiyam amrata Om Trayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivardhana Urvarkum iva vandana Mrityunakshiyam amrata Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om Hari Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya. Now you're going to hold your water and we're going to chant Om into the water 3 times. Don't worry about the sound of your own voice. This is not about performance. This is about your heart. So just express that sound and let that sound fill your water, purifying and blessing that water. And if you want to hold your water, you can, or you can just imagine you're directing it into the glass. So take a nice breath in. Again. One last time, fill the water with Om. And now we're going to do the same thing and chant Om for the waters in our own body. Just one Om and send it throughout your whole body. Send love through all the waters within you. Breathe in. Now, if you could just hold your water and keep your eyes closed if you're comfortable like that. So feel the purification of the mantra, chanting the mantra. Feel the power of holding a glass of water that you've sent your love to. And whenever we do this practice, whenever I like to do this practice, I always start by offering my apology to the water. So, collectively, on behalf of all of us, may we say to water, this water in our glass, and to all the water on the earth, and to all the waters within us, I'm sorry. We're sorry. We haven't treated you with love or respect. I'm sorry, and we're sorry for the ways that we have taken you for granted, that we have polluted you and abused you. You are vital to our existence. Without you, water, we would never be here. And without the waters within our own body, we wouldn't be here either. So we are so sorry for not acknowledging the amazing blessings that you give us every day. And with this practice, we want to make amends and express our gratitude and give you our attention and our love. So, in whatever way feels right to you, you can just make a connection to the water in your glass and feel the miracle of the fact that this water has arrived here for you today. After singing to this water, we're actually now holding a cup or a glass of pure awareness, pure consciousness, like a blank piece of paper. So, as we move on to this next step of the ritual, I invite you to go deep inside yourself and see, what is it you're needing right now? What is it you're longing for? Maybe you're suffering physically. You want some ease, some healing. Maybe your heart is heavy, your heart hurts. You want peace, light. Maybe you're confused. You're longing for clarity or for trust. Whatever it is you need. You may think of a word or a quality, or you may have an image in your mind. Whatever it is, there's no way to do it wrong. This is your practice. Whatever feels true for you right now, that you really wish to imbibe and take into your life. See if you can calm on that and bring that up into your awareness. And imagine that you're almost inscribing that into the water. So, this water that is like a blank piece of paper, if you are longing for trust in your life, you might just hold that water and feel and even say to the water, just trust, trust. May every molecule in this water just emanate that vibration of trust or love or anything that's true for you. Imagine that through the power of your own mind and your imagination, that you are transforming this water so that it actually embodies that prayer and that wish for yourself. Know that whatever it is, you're worthy of it. And once that glass is filled with your prayers, filled with light and all the positive energy in the world, if you want, you can begin to drink that water. And I invite you to drink it really mindfully, like a meditation, drinking meditation. And feel that when you drink this water, that it actually becomes a part of you, and be aware of that water merging with all the cells and tissues of your body until your whole being is emanating whatever that prayer or that word is, it becomes a part of you. You don't have to drink it all now. You can save some for later, you can share it. But really feel that water becoming a part of you. And let's make a commitment together. It's always about remembering to come back again and again when we forget, which we will and we do, because that's the mind. But let us commit to take care of the waters within our own body, because water has memory and water has consciousness. So whatever we put into water is held in there. So the way we speak to ourselves, the way we talk to our own mind and our own heart and our own body is affecting the waters within our body. So the best way to cleanse and purify our own body is to speak loving words, accepting, compassionate, forgiving words. And imagine all of those waters in our body like a clear mountain stream in the sunlight. And if you want, you can put your hand on your heart. No one's looking. And just feel this place, which is the abode of Shiva, the abode of awareness, our true home, a refuge that we can always come back to, a place that is always unified. The heart is a great unifier. We can find balance and rest in our heart. May the equinox bless you, every one of you, and all of us, to find more balance within ourselves. And as we move towards the darker days of the year, may we learn to love and accept the things that we may consider to be dark or unlovable within us, and see that those things are nothing but the fertile soil where the seeds of our potential and our beauty get planted. Let's end by chanting Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be peaceful and happy. This practice of dedicating the merit of offering all the goodness we generated to the whole world, to the universe, and to Mother Earth. And we'll chant it 9 times. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you. Maybe we should just sit in silence for a few minutes. Somehow that feels like the right thing. So if you want to stay, let's just sit quietly for a few minutes. Thank you. There's a quote that I wanted to share with you. I think I may have shared it in another session that I did once, but Edward Hayes, he says, living in a sacred manner means looking upon the ordinary with a mystical eyesight. I love that. Living in a sacred manner means looking upon the ordinary with a mystical eyesight. So great. What we may consider ordinary, you know, it's our eyes that make it into something more than what we think it is. And really, the same is true for everything and everyone on this earth. If we could really look with the right eyes, if we could really see each other as we really are, our minds would be blown all the time. And I'm pretty sure that having our minds blown is one of the keys to restoring peace on earth. I know that sounds crazy, but if we don't realize that this world is incredible and sacred and that we're a part of that, then we're never going to treat it the way it should be treated. When you love someone, you want to love and serve them and respect them. In the bhakti, in the yoga tradition, there are all these different paths of yoga, and they all kind of interpenetrate, and bhakti yoga is the path of love, and karma yoga is the path of service. And they all work together, because when you love someone, you want to give to them, you want to serve them. It's just a natural feeling. So as we cultivate, more of that love within ourselves, and for the earth, we naturally have a desire to serve that, the highest good. But it always begins here. And I'm sure at this point you're probably tired of hearing me talk about my course that I've literally been working on for 3 years. Insight Timer's like always saying, how's it going? It's going, it's coming. It is coming. But this course is about really a lot of this that I'm talking to you about, and particularly about self-love, which is a difficult one, and for me, I have to take my own course before I can put it out. Otherwise, it won't really be coming from a genuine place. And so I've had a lot to learn and have a lot to learn. And that's probably why it's taken a while. Sometimes things fall out. My first album took a few months and my second album took 5 years. And one never knows, but it's intricately connected to my own journey, just like your work is intimately connected to yours. And so it's a very strange thing how our culture and society like praise pumping things out. It's like fast food everything, fast food healing, fast food spirituality, fast food creative process. But that's not really how nature works. It's not a fast food situation. It's we have to trust our inner rhythms and trust that things are unfolding as they're meant to, for our own unique blueprint on this earth. So anyway, I think that this practice of learning to see the ordinary with a mystical eyesight is a beautiful thing to do. And it's something really simple that can be integrated into daily life. Like you can put a little glass of water by your bed at night, and in the morning you could just, before you drink it, you could just express your gratitude to that water, or put a prayer or word into that water just through your own imagination. We don't give our own imagination enough credit, but the entire world was constructed out of someone's imagination. I mean, everything in existence started in the imagination. So we should reclaim the power of our imagination. Children, they have no problem doing that. So, and we too, when we use our imagination, when we visualize something, our visual cortex in our brain responds as if it's actually happening. So imagine if we were to use our imagination for the highest good in a positive way, what effects it could have. I really have to learn a lot about that constantly. Everything I'm sharing with you is what I'm learning. So anyway, about the water, it's just a beautiful thing to do. You can draw yourself a bath, or you can, in the shower, you can actually try to feel the blessings of the water, and to establish a relationship with water. And as we have a greater relationship with water, just as one example, then we will all naturally really become water protectors. Because like I was saying, when you love something, there's when you have deep reverence, you have deep respect, and you want to care for something and you want to protect it. So when you recognize that water is alive and it has consciousness, then it's only natural to want to protect it and care for it. So I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for being here and for your donations and for your presence. And it means so much to me that you're all honestly interested in doing this practice. I'm blown away by it every time, because there's so many things that you could be doing, and that you're choosing to be here with me to sing to our water. This really touches my heart and means so much to me. So thank you. I appreciate all of you so much. And I'm not sure exactly when my next live session will be, but it will be at some point. And I have a number of themes that I really am wanting to explore with you. And in the meantime, if you'd like, you're more than welcome to join my circle. What I don't like to call it my circle, because it doesn't belong to me. It's our collective circle of everyone who's in it. Really, truly so inspired and amazed every day by the love and support that I see in the circle from people from all around the world and all different backgrounds together. on this human journey, offering the best of ourselves and really seeing one another. It's very humbling. I learned a lot from this virtual Sangha. So anyone is welcome. And uh, friends of Carrie Grossman. Hi, Richard. Anyway, I think I might, for my next session, I might just do like an open one where we can just explore whatever you might like to, whatever is on your mind and heart, keep it more open. And then I have a couple of other ones that I'm hoping to lead soon. One of them is on trust. And well, I'll post them. I'll post them soon. So yes, so just so you know, the equinox again is this Wednesday, the 22nd. At around 3:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you just want to, tune into that, or you can take anything that you receive from this time and just bring it forward into that day, and be aware of what's happening at that time, which is that the sun is aligned with the equator. Day and night are equally balanced everywhere on Earth. It's kind of incredible. And then think about that as we're moving forward into this darker time. What are you letting go of? What do you want to shed? Who are you becoming in this crazy time on planet Earth? Thank goodness we all have each other to inspire one another and remember that there's so much beauty in humanity. And there's so much more than what we see in the news. There's this, and many, many other things as well. So anyway, all of my love to you. Thank you. You've made my day. And enjoy your water. And you're worthy. We're all worthy of all the blessings. That's our birthright. So thank you, Michelle. Yes, I do need to keep remembering that. So thanks for that. Okay.